2024, you're talking to the hick doctor, the number one asshole. We're talking about federal workers' comp and VA disability. Okay, I got some questions on AskDocEllis.com. Good morning. Had an MRI right meniscus. That's the knee. Get injections instead of surgery. Will I be able to get a scheduled ward instead of having surgery? You can have a scheduled ward whether or not you have surgery. You don't have to have surgery. If you want to say, okay, I don't want to have surgery, do your scheduled ward. All right. Now that was from Joseph. This is from Brenda, Mississippi. Finally accepted, the federal workers' comp claim accepted after 10 years in October 2022. The United States Postal Service was told to pay my back continuation of pay. However, they refused to do so due to the length of time. But the claims examiner is a person with a 12th grade education, no training in medicine, no training in legal medicine, hardly knows federal workers' comp law. And some of the claims examiners' opinions, you wonder if they're supposed to have a high school education, don't even have a GED. And you don't even get to know the last name. And there's no checks and balances. Like if a insurance company did what claims examiners did, be a $40 million bad faith. So that's one thing that needs to be fixed in the system. All right, okay. But the claims examiner that I provided was told they're supposed to pay me. The lady was still, now they used to talk to the lady, that's the one, the post office saying we're still defiant. The claims examiner said, and get an attorney, is the claims examiner correct? Claims examiners are always incorrect. Never trust a claims examiner. You hear that? Because there's nobody, and now you talk to a lawyer and they just said wrong, you can sue them for legal malpractice. You don't even know the last. Now, she may be correct, she may not be correct. So your question is very, very valid. So before you spend money on an attorney, I would recommend that you get a doctor, and it's got to be me because no one knows how to do this stuff. And then we ask for an oral, we do a consult with you, then we ask for an oral hearing, and we'll send that to the claims examiner, and we'll send a copy to the post office. You may have to get an attorney. Okay. And then I would defer that to my paralegal department, and there may be something else. But don't spend money on an attorney now. You shouldn't have to do that. But there are a zillion ways to skin the cat. Just don't give up. They owe you the money. Okay. Now remember, the government laws for federal workers' comp VA are extremely, extremely, extremely fair, and no one knows them. Okay. And everybody is an asshole. You got to get that down. Speaking as the number one asshole, this pretty woman who put up with me for 60 years and 10 months said I'm an asshole. So that's my qualification that I'm an asshole. Jesus said the Bible says the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. We're 96% the same DNA as a chimpanzee. And I apologize to the apes. Okay. Anyway, and so we're gonna have a flesh that always wants to do take care of self. Then the spirit man says, do something different. Okay. All right. Now, okay. Here's the JL from, okay. I worked for KBR in Iraq and Afghanistan 2005, 2011, dealing with PTSD and burn pit issues. That's all it says. Okay. Well, yeah, obviously, that if you're working as a federal employee, we can get that taken care of and file it as a federal claim. If you're working as a military, that's an easy one. That's easier. But both are absolutely. Burn pits now, like in VA, burn pits are now accepted. But when you burn hydrocarbons and you inhale hydrocarbons, the lungs can't take hydrocarbons. They take smoke. You got to smoke a long time to get emphysema, but they can't take oil-based stuff. All right. Okay, so here is John, currently on OWCP compensation. That's federal workers' comp. Temporary total disability. He's getting either 75% of his pay tax-free if he's got dependents, or 67% if he doesn't. It always amazed me that people ever went back to work. That's a lot of money. Anyway, and receiving treatment. Okay. The claims examiner said he got a second opinion. The doctor agreed that with the treating vision that he was still temporarily totally disabled and could not work. He also stated I was at maximum medical improvement in his report. I've also applied for FERS, Federal Employment Retirement Service Disability, and got approved. Great. Now just keep that in your safety deposit box, because if you go to FERS, you can go to temporary total disability, TTD, or you can do FERS. So you can go from 75% to 40% taxable. Don't do that, but but it's there. You got it approved. Good for you. It shows you pretty bad. All right. He's having regular maintenance treatment. That means, my question is, what's next? Schedule ward. I'm doing regular maintenance, maybe medicine, physical therapy, injections, and the possibility of another surgery. Now, if you do a scheduled ward, the check amount will be each month the same. You won't know if it's getting paid for a scheduled ward and impairment or if you're getting TTD. But when the scheduled ward runs out, everything stops. You can get back on temporary total disability. You can imagine how easy that is. Now, so you just stay on temporary total disability till you die. Did you hear me? You stay on temporary total disability till you die. No system is that fair. State workers' comp, there's a cap. Right? Example, got a postal employee, hips, knees, and ankles are approved. He's 60 years old, and he's on a walker. And he's on temporary total disability. And the nurse case manager, be careful, these people, they can help you, but they can also be your greatest enemy, wants him off temporary total disability, workers' comp, federal workers' comp, and on FERS at 40% taxable. I said, that's a great idea. That'll save the post office a lot of money. Why would he be that stupid? You hired him under 1916 law. That's extremely, extremely, extremely fair. If employment factors contribute the slightest amount, aggravate the slightest amount, it's covered. I mean, that's just, everything's covered. If you got the doctor knows what he's doing, then that's your problem. The white coats don't know what we're doing. Okay, so they send him to 3 separate doctors and about $4,000 to $5,000 a pop, who said yes, he can work. But now the other thing of the federal workers' comp law, the only change in 74, you get to pick your doctor, and that doctor's opinion has more probative legal value. It's not like a car wreck and 2 dueling doctors equal. It's this way. That's why we always win. We know the law. We don't give up, and the law is very fair. If we finally get to a human being that's got brains, that's over, and you never give up. All right. So he stays on workers' comp during all this time, and every time they do that, they pay the second opinion doctor, $4,000 to $5,000. I get $500. I need to start saying zero and lying, and I make more money. But anyway, and they're paying me to rebut it. Okay, so that's probably 20% of all that money the government's wasting. It's just like insurance companies keep paying attorneys to fight claims when some of the claims are so small. Give them the money; it's cheaper than what you pay in attorney fees. But because the insurance company board of directors got their head up their ass, and then think everybody's fake, and they try to go after all these fakers, they waste money. Here's an example. I don't remember which year because it's always about the same percentage. Oklahoma. Now think of a barcode. So here we have 1.5 million employees in Oklahoma that year. Okay. This many get injured. This many get an impairment rating. Now, with money. Okay. Now you take out death and amputations, which you can't fake. And then you got this many people can be faking. And since state workers' comp has got a cap, pay them. It's cheaper. But no one thinks that way. In fact, I was watching Court Cam the other day, and it's a lady in a grocery store in the produce section, and she's going back and forth with her empty cart. And suddenly there's a banana peel on the floor, and she falls down. All on camera. $42,000 of work up in the hospital. They didn't find anything. And of course, then they show you obviously fraud. So everybody thinks that everybody's that bad. And some are. I mean, if you're asking somebody else for money, you got to do that. But doctors and everybody just thinks everybody's that bad. So there's a bias against the injured litigant. Allstate ran an ad for months. We fight fake car wreck claims to keep your car insurance premiums down by Allstate. I think at that time there were 4 billion people in the world. I'm the one person that understood that ad. It's a great ad. The actor's phenomenal. I mean, just a very believable, wonderful guy. Just, you know, he's a good actor. And I'm sure they paid Madison Avenue megabucks for that ad. But the ad says, if you file a claim against Allstate, we're going to fight you. Buy our insurance. That's a 5-minute comedy club skit. Hey, dummy, buy our insurance. By the way, they are so bad that I took the master's, this is double-sided, master's course in accident reconstruction. And in my website, there's a thing on low speed. It's the best analogy of comparing low speed to falling off a chair, falling off a table, falling off. Okay, anyway, and they don't bother me anymore because I know this stuff. I don't put up with this stuff. When I started doing legal medicine in the early 70s, I thought 60% of my patients would be legit and 40% be kind of flaky. Now, amongst normal doctors, just not insurance company doctors, not anybody hired for either, but just normal everyday doctors, that made me pro-injured worker. Because we doctors, our ego is so bad because you can't get through medical school without an ego. I had to get permission to take more than 18 hours in college. Well, medical school is 8 to 5, 5 days a week, half day on Saturday. That's over a 50-hour semester and homework. That leaves normal brains out, okay? And so our ego is such, and we think we're judge and jury, and we're not going to let anybody trick us. We'd rather 99 people have their claim denied than one trick us. 99 people with pain be denied, so the one drug addict doesn't trick us, because our ego is more important to us than truth. That's just fact. Now, another example of the bias against your injured litigant. Last week, I was consulting with a federal employee who works for the VA, and we're talking about stuff. And he mentions that they're always getting emails, internal emails, the VA, complaining about doctors who help veterans get their disability. And they call them predators. So when I help you get your VA disability, the VA internally calls me a predator. Wow. Okay, so you're fighting against that. You're fighting against bias. It's like being a black man in a KKK meeting. That's what you said to that uphill climb. Okay. All right. So yes. So now back to Jalil, PTSD, burn pits. It doesn't matter. You're federal employee or vet or military. We can get those done. Okay. You need a medical rationale report. In VA, it's called a nexus report. Unfortunately, we are not trained in legal medicine in medical school, and yet over 50% of litigation requires a white coat. Pretend like I'm a doctor. I am a doctor with a whole bunch of stuff on the wall, and I'm wearing a white coat. We're not trained, and we screw the system up. My classic, which I always use, and you've probably heard it if you watch other YouTubes, is a neurosurgeon. It's a company driver, company truck, a wreck, broken neck, and he does a fusion. The insurance company, the state workers' comp insurance company, needs a doctor to say it's work related. Well, actually, it's work related. They're not fighting this case. They just want to pay the guy. But we need a doctor, a white coat, say, yeah, this is work related. And the neurosurgeon wrote back, said, I cannot give you my opinion because I didn't see the truck roll. That's what you're dealing with. Okay. Now here is John. Okay. Now I'm on OWCP, workers' comp, temporary disability. I've got the FERS. We're back to the scheduled ward. You can stay on TTD. You can have surgery. Okay. Now, if you have cancer and you know you're going to die real soon, you do a scheduled ward and you get a lump sum money instead of monthly, and you pay a 4% penalty, and then you give that to your kids before you die. Now, I did have a person once who was on 75% of his pay, temporary total disability, and elected to get on FERS. He was so afraid of being videoed. He was so afraid every time he saw a Department of Labor letter that it just gave him terrible anxiety. So I'm going to go take a huge loss. I don't understand that. That makes sense. You probably had 10 years of life getting away from the crap they throw at you. Because there's crap coming after you. It just happens to be by the federal government. Now, if it's Russia, China, Venezuela, you wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Now, here's Richard from California. Worked for Homeland Security. Had a total knee in 24. Been diagnosed with lymphedema in my left leg, stage 2, with venous insufficiencies. Now, right there, we need to know that knee, if it's work related, you need to add the venous insufficiency and the lymphedema. You need to get those added to it so that you don't pay copay for get treatment for that. It's an approved claim. And I worked for 2 years. You should be on temporary total disability. I've been told that I likely lose my job. Yeah, you may lose your job, but you're still a federal employee. You'll still stay on temporary total disability. But your job, you're not able to do Homeland Security because, even sitting is bad for you. Standing is bad for you. So you may have lost your job, but you're still a federal employee. And even if they say you're not a federal employee, you stay on workers' comp till you die. Okay. Does this qualify as scheduled ward? The scheduled ward can be done whether you have a job, don't have a job. It can be done at any time. I'm asking you due to the fact that financial impacts have been nothing short of horrendous. Of course it has. If you're not getting workers' comp at 75% of your pay tax-free, you're getting screwed. Send us your stuff. Go to ellisclinic.com, do appointment, fill out the stuff, send the stuff, send this question. We'll look at it. And we'll even give you we'll give you a medical legal phone call or an appointment, or maybe you need to come in. Okay. But this can be done without attorneys, because I'm sorry, folks, I don't have an attorney in the United States. There's anything I will give out in federal workers' comp. Okay. Got a lot of attorneys on FERS, though. Okay. Now, this is Scott from Texas. It's VA. Disney for 20 years. Head injury, that's covered from a motor vehicle accident, and loud noise too. He's also got tinnitus. Both of those make it. Also the armor unit, range, all that. Peripheral vertigo. My doctor is hesitant to show relation to military with diagnosis. Dude, I need a nexus file. Every time you file anything in the federal for VA, you must have a nexus report. Do not let. Now, these are well-meaning veteran service officers. Like every state has a Veterans Commission, American Legion, VFW, all have veteran service officers that are trained by the VA, know how to get it all together, get your records, send things electronically. Always go through these people. It's free. But you have to have a nexus report. You do not go with just your records. You have to have a doctor put in the medical rationale. And like I said, white coats are not trained. So your doctor's done you a great service by not doing a report. Like I'm licensed to do brain surgery. If I did, it'd be malpractice. I'm not trained. All right. So you're willing to travel to Oklahoma to see me. This is a VA. We may be able to do this in telehealth. This is a no-brainer. Now, do you have traumatic brain injury? Has that been approved? Are you getting paid for traumatic brain injury? Are you getting paid for because we need to have the vertigo, which is different than because you got to have your tinnitus. And that could probably be a telehealth VA report. Then if they deny it, then you come. But I would recommend you get a telehealth appointment. You go to ellisclinic.com, fill out the VA protocol, and put this letter together. And of course, you're willing to travel. Anybody that doesn't, we're taking on the federal government. And I think it's wise to say I've actually seen you. But I've never had, wait a minute, that may not be wise. I've never had anybody say he didn't see him. Now, range of motion, that may be different, but this is all subjective. Okay. So, sure. And it's what we do. Here's Victor from VA from Texas. VA claimed 3 times and now for PTSD died each time, despite the VA's diagnosis for PTSD, anxiety, depression. But nowhere in the diagnosis does any doctor say it's due to your service. You got every state has a set of magic words. Social Security, the magic word, no sustained gainful employment. VA is more likely than not the brain injury or the whatever is contributed to. Therefore, it's my medical opinion that it's more likely than not service connected. Now, let me explain. Reasonable medical probability, more likely than not, but doctors use may or possible, then you lose. Now, but the trouble with doctors, we're not trained in legal medicine. So this is my class, right? Because in the Air Force, the doctors that are board certified Air Force surgeons, flight surgeons, and maybe board certified in family medicine, surgery, whatever, and they're taking occupational medicine, get a master's of public health and more letters right of the name, are required to come spend a day with me. One day. Because they all wrote down the best thing I did in a 3-year residency is one day with Doc Ellis. Now, this is what I teach them, and this is what you need to hear. So we have a person that goes on a mission trip that's endemic for hepatitis A. And all the doctor's going to get to hear is the patient writing a letter to somebody who then wrote a letter to somebody who wrote a letter. We're talking about pure hearsay that would not stand in criminal court, okay? Well, medicine's all hearsay. You tell me you got a headache, I believe it. There's no test for it. That's hearsay. But that's medical evidence. It's not criminal evidence. It's medical. So he writes that my eyes are yellow. Doctor, what's your thought? Well, yellow eyes means jaundice. That means the liver, the bile that comes from the liver is into the bloodstream and it turns the eyes yellow, called jaundice. Okay. You have an education training experience. That's your basis. You got a white coat on. You've got jaundice. It's not a diagnosis. It's a thought. It's an impression, not even a diagnosis yet. All right. And since you're an endemic area for hepatitis A, your thought is, well, that's where you got it. Now, you may have gotten it from a needle, but right now, with all the information I have, you probably got it in the environment. Okay. And then they get a CAT scan and they find a little stone in your common bile duct, which could mechanically back the bile instead of going into your intestine and out your poop. It goes into your bloodstream. So now you're thinking, well, this is a common duct stone causing the jaundiced yellow eyes. That's reasonable medical certainty. More likely than not in the VA. And then the test comes back and you had hepatitis also at the same time. So at each point in that time of that history, with the information you have that's all hearsay, is reasonable medical certainty. Doctor gives opinion. Do not say may. Do not say possible. You are God. Speak like God does from the mountain and say, this is what's going on at this point in my life. Now, you have the right to change your opinion. Like this is a state workers' comp case. And I rated the guy's back or 10 or 15%. And during the deposition, Gary Faribault, who's a respondent attorney for the insurance company, great guy, brings me the Ardmore paper, and he's holding a saddle. You know how big a saddle is. He's won the steer roping contest. Now, could that change your opinion? Well, of course it can change my opinion. Okay, but so I have him come back up. Now, no other doctor would have him come back up. I can just guarantee our ego is such that any doctor said, I'll never see that guy. He's a liar and a cheat. Made a decision on a picture in a newspaper. You dumb shit. So anyway, he comes back up and his back is stiff. And I rated it a little higher, 20%, because he really has a bad back. And then they send me the video. Well, the video, steer roping, he is on the back horse and he's taking that lasso and he puts them on the heels, the back legs of the steer, and jerks it. And then look, based on the video, his from here down, he didn't move. It's all with his upper arm, his lower back measurement. I made him 40% and he got it. Now, damn it, doctors, don't be fooled by TV and pictures. And people that take the pictures are not experts. You've got to have a white coat to be an expert. So call it like it is. But I also have testified against the guy. The state works comp, mangled foot, and he got 40% for his foot, and I think 10% for back. Well, I see him years later, and the ankle's much worse. It's called a Charcot joint, and he's walking with a big limp, and his back is worse. And he wants to say he's permanently and totally disabled. I said, no. You're a principal of a small town in western Oklahoma. You're also a counselor. You can do that sitting down. You are not permanently, totally disabled. And oh, yes, I am. No, no, no. Well, you know he's a liar because on his patient information form, smoker non, well, he's got 2 brown fingers. He's probably 4 packs a day. But anyway, and so I can't even do a range of motion back when he's sitting. I can't even have his bend his neck. Okay, I said, sir, you're not giving me the full effort. You cannot do this. You're going to go to jail. I'm just telling you, this is fraud. You shouldn't do this. Okay. So the video this time is of him in the racquetball court through the plexiglass practicing with his long racquetball, right? And he's taking that racquetball and he hits it and it hits the cove and dribbles back to him. Phenomenal racquetball player. In other words, you can't return it. And he's just practicing. Now his back is worse. He can't bend down and pick up the ball. He takes his racket, hits it until the ball finally starts bouncing. His back is worse, probably 40%. And obviously his foot's worse. I have him come back in and he's still, nope, can't bend, can't do it. Oh, we got, okay. So he goes to jail. Now they offered him, if you do a plea deal, we'll do a deal. He wouldn't do it. So maybe he is permanently too disabled. He's too stupid to be a principal and to be a counselor. But that's fraud. And those are the stories we all remember. But the majority of people, they're so afraid of being thought of as a malingerer and a cheat and a liar. You got to draw the history out of them, especially if they're Marines and not in 1st Airborne. So just tell the truth. Who cares what everyone else thinks? Okay. So here is William, 90% hopes of getting 100%. Can I file a low back claim, secondary depression and or anxiety? Yes, you can file a claim anytime. Don't ask me to do it. I'm not going to take your anxiety and depression and add it to back. Although when you're anxious, depressed, you do get tight muscles in your neck and your back, but I'm not going to rate it. Okay. But you might find a doctor that will. And there may be even case law, how the anxiety, depression, and maybe PTSD contribute to a back. That's fine. But I don't do it to me. And if you ask me to do it, and I charge you $500, and I'll keep it because it takes longer to tell you no than say yes. All right. But I'm going to tell the truth as I see it. We may disagree. Doesn't hurt my feelings if you do. Right? But if you've got your 90%, you probably have bad knees, backs, ankles, stuff like that. Anything like that. If you have flat feet, back's covered. If you have knees, back's covered. You have hips, back's covered. Okay. So there may be something in your military time. It doesn't have to be in your records. You tell me that you had something happen, and I believe that's true, and I write it. It becomes your medical history, and then your back's covered because the VA law is such as that. Now, if this were state workers' comp or criminal law, I said no, don't come in. It's a waste of time. It's a higher hurdle to jump. Right? All right. Now this is Charles from Georgia. Schedule word amount of calculation. Okay. On ellisclinic.com, you go to schedule awards. There's a calculator. You can put your 13% in and what your pay rate is, and it'll figure it out. Now, so he's got 13. He's been accepted for his shoulder, for those lower extremity for 13%. Does my calculated payment percentage derive from the 219 salary or my current salary? It's supposed to go by the date of maximum medical improvement, the date you had the schedule ward exam done. That's when the doctor said you're now at maximum medical improvement. And if they sent you a second opinion, that moves that date of maximum improvement even newer to the more rated. So, but be careful. Sometimes they will go back to 2019. So do the math. The rate should be the date of maximum medical improvement. That is determined by a doctor, not a claims examiner. Okay.
You'll like this one.
Okay. The next question. Okay. Stephen, Texas. I have a second opinion report with intentional falsifications. I also have a 39-minute recording exam to back me up. I would recommend that when the government sends you for a second opinion, or if you're at the VA and the VA doctor's seeing you, you turn your cell phone on to record. First of all, it'll tell you the time you're in there. You'll have the recording. Now, you can't use it against him like in civil law, but eventually we're going to have real stories, real results, and you could come in and we will tell the doctor's name. We will do this. We will let you put the recording under here. We're just doing investigative reporting, and we'll tell where this guy's office is. And we'll stop this fraud by second opinion doctors for the government and insurance companies. I don't mind insurance companies getting whores, but the government should not be doing that. But these guys figured out, if I want to get $4,000 or $5,000 pop each time, I've got to write a zero because there's somebody up the line that wants a zero. We had an occupational medicine residency in Oklahoma, and I'm a professor. And the kids, or the young, well, they're not kids. They finished medical school. They're in an occupational medicine residency. Well, I'm going to do both sides. Now, if you want to do insurance work, you're going to have to sell your soul and write a zero, because there can be somewhere along the line that thinks everybody's faking. And it can be even up at the board level. Okay? That's just a fact. And you're going to have a tough time with plaintiff attorneys. I had one, Richard called me, Doc, I need 50% in every operated back. I said, Richard, I want to give you 60, but Jesus reads my report. And I feel sorry for his clients. If I write 19, they get 19, because the judges know I just tell the truth. Someone writes 50, they don't get 5. But he's a fool. A lying crumb. Okay, all right, now, okay. But now, people that do what I do are whores. I'm getting paid to do this, okay? A whore. And so people spell God, T-H-E-Y. They're worried what they think. I don't worry about anybody. I don't care what you think or anybody else thinks. Jesus reads my reports. And I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care who the hair lives. Okay, so that's what you can do. But I would certainly take that text and send it to your claims examiner, put it in your ecomp file. Just send it in. This is what I recorded or what I observed. And send a copy to the doctor who saw you and have him sue you. Yep, that's what I saw, Your Honor. And I guarantee you the jury will file against the doctor every time. We've got some here that just, okay. Anyway, here is Juanita from Texas, OWCP, Federal Workers' Comp. Which is better, request schedule order prior to or after applying for Social Security? Social Security is different than that. They're two different companies. They don't even talk to each other. Now you may, okay, so that's, yeah. Do it whenever you want to. Do it now when you get the money. Okay, but if you're applying for Social Security, why do you need a scheduled ward? Why don't you need to stay on temporary total disability? Maybe that's the reason you should say on TTD, get your Social Security and have it done. You know, just like you get FERS. But stay on workers' comp or get a scheduled ward. Now you can repeat a scheduled ward every year. So let's say you got a 20% knee and went down to 15, and you sent the report in. You're not going to pay anything back. You don't send, but you don't have to pay back. But it went up to 25, you get an extra 5%. Very fair, very fair. It's just that in practice, it's worse than dealing with insurance companies. And again, the people that are the key here are the white coats, less doctors. And the clinics don't know this. Hospitals don't know it. McBride is great. That's right. My wife's hip's done. Won't even take federal workers out. And we got Tinker Air Force Base. 22% of the people in Oklahoma are federal employees. They won't even take them. They don't know how. Okay. Okay, here's one. Can a OWCP claim be denied because I was unable to return to work because my child support withheld my passport? My condition was caused by my overseas employment. Well, they're going to deny it, but you can overcome it. Not your fault. Okay. Now here is a Earl. I work for the post office. Attacked by a dog, bitten badly, infected, arm still weak. Carry mail. Surgery to get the infection out. What percentage of damage, according to the wards, is it? Have to examine and you see. It may be examining that. Let's see, arm or leg. It would have to examine it. There may be nerves involved. There may be decreased range of motion. There may be soft tissue. It may not be a lot. Okay. Here's Cedric, YouTube. How can I contact you directly? Make an appointment with me. Go to Ellis Clinic, make an appointment. You'll have to jump through hoops before you get to go into and go up the yellow brick road before they open the curtain and let you see the laws. Okay. but they'll probably refer you to me. He said, I like to talk, doc. And doc loves to talk. Loves to help out. Okay. Wish I was cloned. Okay. Now, here is Truth Matters, a YouTube question. Okay. Thank you and bless you for sharing the great information. I'd like to know if there's an impairment training doctor in Michigan. Now, you can go to Federal Workers' Comp, OWCP, and find providers. Now, this is what happens. To become a provider, federal government, you send in all your information and your MPI number. And if you don't have a felony, you're now a provider. Now, you will go to that list of the providers and you will start calling them. Do you do scheduled awards? And they'll say, we don't do Federal Workers' Comp anymore. We did it once. We'll never do it again. After about 15, you understand. Everybody's done one, they quit. They don't know how to get paid. They get letters, asking for this and that, and they're not trained, and it upsets them. And they said, it's not worth the trouble. So now, scheduled awards are very, especially with the 6th edition of the AMA guides, which is very convoluted, but it's a good thing. The other editions, I might write 20, someone write 5, because it's very general. This is very, very particular. For instance, there you have a diagnosis, and there are 4 classes for everything. And the claims and a district medical advisor, different than this book, since the pain is constant, it's an automatically class 4. That's a lot of money. So you need to know somebody that not only knows the AMA guides, and there's a class people take, and so you find anybody that's taken, actually it's a class by Christopher Brigham, and these people are actually authors, and he's got an online class too, guys, if you want to learn this. And you'll get a National Board of Independent Medical Examiners certificate. And the guys that actually wrote the book are going to tell you how to do it. But you also need to make sure the person doing it knows FECA bulletins, Federal Employment Compensation Act bulletins, for instance. The book says, in the book, if you have a shoulder, you rate it by range of motion or diagnosis. Now, if the range of motion is higher, you're through. That's your impairment rating. Then if this is higher, if your diagnosis, like a rotator cuff tear, you can add to that. Like if there's a nerve that's off some pins or breaking plexus, you can add to it. The FECA bulletin, 1716 doctors out here doing this stuff. If the range of motion is higher, you can add nerves to it. That's where it's coming from, New Jersey. Okay. Do you have any opening? Oh, gosh, we're booked up, folks. Pray. I've got a company trying to buy me that we can hire a lot of people because we're swamped, but we want to help.
That's the last one, Doc. No, you've got one more.
I got one.
It's actually a repeat. He submitted
Oh, it's a repeat. Okay. What's next? Okay. So that's it. Now let me read. Jerry gave me comments for Doc Ellis. What's this from? Ask Doc Ellis.
It's just comments on YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay. But I got 3 of them here. This is VA audiograms. I need to do YouTube about the fraud of the VA on audiograms. Now, a classic example. Guy's got 2 hearing aids. They got to yell. If I put my hands over his mouth, he can't hear me. Just terrible. And under this book, he's 30 some odd % impaired. Okay. The VA, he's 30% prepared, but then they use speech discrimination, the ability to understand words, and he has 0. Because it said he understands 96% of the words. I'm calling that fraud. I call him that criminal. Okay. It's supposed to be a Maryland C. You can't go to Belton and get this test. You've got to go to the VA and have them do the test with it's supposed to be a CDC called a Maryland CNC. And you're supposed to repeat it, but they keep repeating it. And then the audiologist will start saying it over and over and over again till finally you get 96% understanding of the words. Lie. Also, when you do that, if you didn't understand the first time, you say, ma'am, I didn't understand that. Don't guess. This is not an IQ test because you've learned to read lips. You've learned to put words together. Don't do that. Did you understand the word? We're talking about your hearing test, not your brain. But here's one. Ralph. I had a hearing test at the VA, and when it came to a voice recognition test, I could only understand 2 words. I was told to stop playing games and took the test over. Same 2 words I couldn't understand. She didn't get the results she wanted, and she didn't submit the test. It was okay. The audiologist, the lady, didn't even submit that he can't. Okay, didn't submit that he's going to get 2 words. Why? Because she thinks everybody's faking, or she thinks she won't lose her job if she does. People that do VA exams for deaf recovery, they'll get letters. You seem to find a lot of disability. That's not even a veiled threat. Okay, and here's another one from Mean. I was never even offered a speech discrimination test, even though it was my main complaint. Multiple sounds I can understand. Okay, if there are multiple sounds, I can't understand what I'm saying. In other words, I'm deaf in one ear. Okay, and 20% in this ear. If I'm in a restaurant, I'm deaf. Okay, so I've got a deal. If I have to do this, I'm walking out. Okay, and now what's interesting is I've been doing VA exams about 3 years, and they should have never hired me because I'm deaf in one ear. But it's flight surgeon, and of course, it's flight surgeon, all that noise. Like 3 years later, oh, you know, I ought to check my audiogram. My audiogram when I left the service, I was 20% impaired hearing. I'm going to file for that and give that money to my wife because she's the one that has to put up with me. So use that money on QVC and HSN. All right.
Are we ready for some online questions?
Yeah, okay, we're good.
Right. So we've got one on Facebook from Marcus Conley. Hey, Dr. Ellis, I received a denial letter from OWCP. Do I need to send you a copy of the denial letter, or does OWCP provide the treating doctor a notice of denial?
OWCP doesn't. Now, if they send you to a second opinion doctor, even then they may not send the records. Okay, but it's all on your okay. Now, when you send something to me, you go to ellisclinic.com.
This is an existing patient.
Existing patient. Go back to ellisclinic.com and read what stuff I needed. Damn right, I need that and a cover letter. Or I'll say, put it up the phone so I can read it. No, and you make an appointment. Here's the deal: general questions we love to answer. But if you have a specific question on a specific claim, and if we have to pull a chart, you have to have an appointment. And we're not going to call you back. You got to follow the protocol. We are not God. We cannot take care of everybody. And to do federal workers' comp, you got to have a picnic table. You've got to have an appointment, quiet room, and everything out there, including all your claims and everything. You cannot, off the cuff, talk about a claim. Anybody that does that is stupid. And if you expect, well, he never called me back. Well, you did. You need an appointment. I sent something in. If you just sent, we're not your damn secretary. You're in legal medicine. You get your stuff together or get somebody to help you. You don't just send stuff to us, expect us to do something. You request an appointment. And then you have a cover letter. This is my question about this and that, and you cite it, you put it together. And if you can't, find somebody that can. Or pay me a whole bunch of money and like an attorney. The ones that really bug me, we do free stuff for federal, and they will bitch. I said, well, I'll fund the money. Did you never paid me? Well, you never called me back. I couldn't get an appointment. Whiners go to the end of the line. Now, if you want to go first class and get the best, because we are, it doesn't mean anything because I am the only one, then you've got to follow the protocol. I'm going to tell you how to do it. You don't tell me how to do it. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 50 years. So, well, they didn't do this. It hurt my feelings. Well, go away. And we cannot interrupt the day. If you want us to stop what we're doing and talk to you, that is selfish. You are bumping somebody that's got an appointment. It's follow the protocol. And whiners go to the end of the line. So be careful. Don't piss me off. But I'm the same guy. That same viral anger will go back for you if you follow the rules. But I'm not following your rules. Got it? I love you. I want to take care of you. You're my beloved. Okay, what else you got?
All right, we've got a comment here on YouTube from Fernando. Good morning, Doc. Just an update on my shoulder. upgraded after your evaluation, and many denials. Caseworkers upset because it got upgraded when she was out on leave.
Yay!
Still lacking the bicep.
Is this our Fernando, you think? Okay, anyway, a Fernando. Okay. Had a complaint. And I said, come on in, let's talk about it. And I had a company coming in to talk about investing with me. And I said, well, let them watch it because, okay, they watch this. And they're going, oh, you know. And of course, we got it done in 20 days. Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a comment here from Brian Rhodes on Facebook. I saw you probably 9 years ago and traveled to you from Ohio. All my claims were denied because there was no rationale in the next letter at all. They might be more reason as well, but don't have my denial letter in front of me. I'm checking to see what you can do for me now.
Oh, let's do it again. I'd like to see. They may have said that, but if you look at the reports, it probably does have a medical rationale.
And just to clear, this isn't a one-off. This happens where the claims examiners.
So it's a template. They just cut and paste. He didn't do this, and it's right there. It's on page 4, right there. There. And of course, then we rebut it. But then the way you do it with federal workers' comp, you say we're going to request an oral hearing. Okay. Now, so the claims examiner, who's your enemy, okay, we request an oral hearing. Since August of 2022, I've not done an oral hearing. Every time I've done an oral hearing. Now, this is the good part, guys. Every time I've done an oral hearing, the person I'm talking to is a rational human being. Understand the law is very pro-injured federal employee. And it usually takes 15 minutes. And many times I have a faxed agreement the same day. So when we ask for an oral hearing since August of 2022, initially the claims examiner is going, oops, we're balking it. Oh, it's Ellis. And then they'll say, we've approved all the things you're asking for. We've canceled the oral hearing because we've approved it, which is pretty neat to have done it in a week. Paige, my paralegal, my God, the best legal mind. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we have this is a classic case, a slip and fall, accepted contused elbow, strained neck, and 4 bruises. That's on the emergency room report. 4 bruises, hip and knee and elbow. Anyway, 4 bruises. Okay, 4 contusions. Okay, now that's all you need. If years from now that hip gets worse, that contusion back then is enough in federal workers' comp to make that a work-related injury, consequential injury to the original claim number. That's extremely ridiculously fair. All right, now, but instead, we want while we're on it, we want those for contusions approved. Send a letter in. The claims examiner is supposed to respond to a written request within 30 days, which you didn't. The second one, and then the third one. So now, we're not your representative. We're your doctor. We give you advice just like we tell you whether to use Medicare Part A and B. Okay, and whether you take your vitamins. I mean, I can give you advice. I'm not your lawyer. I'm not your representative. But you in federal, you have what's called e-comp. It's everything goes electronically, and so we helped that person write a letter. Said, here it is. You're supposed to respond within 30 days to a written request. On this day, requested, and you didn't respond by that date. This is the third time. If you do not respond by this date, I'm considering, no, it's a threat, not a request, asking for an oral hearing for this to be upgraded to a senior claims examiner. Let me tell you how brilliant she is, more than my brain and any damn attorney in the United States. You've never thought of this. The threat. This is January 11th. January 12th, the claims examiner said, pull up your file. Those 4 contusions are approved. The threat of having to fight. You don't have to have an oral hearing to get a senior claims examiner. You said, I want to review the records, I want to senior claims examiner. And so we've not done an oral hearing since August of 2022. And when she first came here, I need to show you how to do e-comp. Employee compensation people were, I've been doing that. She wins that. She's a legal genius, smarter than any attorney I know. And we're not your attorney, but we'll help you. And you get to know it. For instance, a claims examiner said I had left a voicemail and she didn't call back. She scanned her records. There's my records. You never send a voicemail. caught them in a lie, and everything is proved. Okay. Now, if insurance companies did that kind of stuff, that would be $40 million. Bad faith claim. Everybody knows about the McDonald's case. The little old lady, a hot coffee landed in her lap. She got millions of dollars. Actually, she did have a real burn. She was an older person and had a real burn in her groin area. But there was the millions were in punitive damages because you've been told over and over and over again, this is a slap on the wrist. Don't do that. There's a high school science teacher, young lady, hit from the rear, has neck surgery. And the insurance company can't have from a rear end accident, blah, blah, blah. Finally, the case was settled and she got her money for the neck surgery. And I think 30 or 40 million in bad faith for the fighting of it. So insurance companies will push you so long and they say, back off. But claims examiners, you don't even get to know their last name. There's no check and balances. You got to have checks and balances. And the government, I'll bet 20% of the wasted money in federal workers' comp is the claims examiner. They got to do something in 30 days. Second opinion. Aaron gets rammed by a forklift. He has a lot of bruises and stuff, and he's in a coma. And when he goes to the emergency room, he has an XCT his neck and the head, and he's in a coma and hospitalized for that stuff. And the discharge summary talked about the bruises and everything else, and forgot to mention that he had a coma, which obviously means he had traumatic brain injury, and they did his neck. Okay, so they left it out anyway. So I see, and of course he goes see some neurosurgeon in the PA. They missed the diagnosis. Let's just call it what it is. I see him 6 months later, and he's a very muscular guy, and his left side looked like he's had polio since birth. You can diagnose it from 30 feet away. That is not a spinal nerve, you dumb shits. You lazy people. Now, there's a this is the spinal cord. These are the back. That's the spinal cord. That's a nerve. That might go to my little toe, might go to my knee. This is a spinal cord injury, like Superman, Christopher Reeves, spinal cord injury. That's causing the injury here, then the nerves that go down that left arm and left leg. And these four-prong cane and all that stuff. That's a spinal cord injury. Clear as a bell. You don't need an MRI. You don't need a CT scan. And his claim to examiner, I will never accept your neck. Now, if an insurance company did that, we're not talking 40 million. We're talking about we own the insurance company. We put those people in jail. And my God, claims examiner, if you want to practice medicine, you ought to be sued just like I do if you make a bad diagnosis. You ought to have malpractice insurance like I do. And so I even sent him a picture of the MRI, color with arrows showing the dent on the spinal cord. And she's still denied. Brain injury. He's in a damn coma. Well, we need to send him to a neuropsychologist. You don't need a neuropsychologist. He was in a damn coma. So I drive him up to Wichita because there are no neuropsychologists around here. Now, in federal workers' comp, you get the right to bring your doctor to the appointment. So I write a letter to the neuropsychologist and said, that's the rules. And I'm going to be with him. I'm going to personally drive him up there. But since this is going to be a psychological evaluation, I will be glad to not be in the interview, to not cause any intimidation. But I'd like to talk to you before you go and see Aaron. Well, this guy is a neuropsychologist, University of Kansas. He's my hero. No, we come see him. We talk. Obviously, this is a no-brainer that his brain's been injured, and so he get that approved. But look at the money the government spent because the claims examiner is just beyond stupid and has a bias against the injured litigant. And she's never seen this guy. You've never seen this guy. Brain injury. And if you think I'm cussing and getting pissed off, you haven't got a clue. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you've never been to Germany and seen Auschwitz and the ovens. You do not know what the government's doing to our federal employees. And so my pissed offness is absolutely justified. And I'm tired of this shit. And I will stay tired of it till they put a bullet hole in my head or I get them to obey their damn rules. What you got next?
All right, we have one here from Leander Savoy on YouTube. Can obesity and depression be used for hypertension and heart valve replacement and bypass for compensation for VA?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Right. So let's say you get flat feet, sprained ankle, whatever, because VA is now in state workers' comp, no, criminal law, no. But so you decreased activities of daily living, not exercise, just decreased activities of daily living. It contributes to obesity. Obesity contributes to hypertension. That does all the cardiovascular stuff, heart valves. It's not. It's about that much of a cause. Not this much of it. Like in states, got to be 51% of a cause. Okay, sure.
Right. Well, that is all the comments
That's it.
we have
Good.
on here, but we're closing in on the bottom of the hour.
Well, I'm going to have to quit because I've got another meeting.
All right. Well, we will be back on the first Friday of next month as per usual. As you